Hi Jay, it's Steve, your spiritual learning instructor. I hope that you're doing really well and have had a great week. And so I wanted to just do a quick video that focuses on the intellectual and human dimensions of one's internship experience. Part of, I should say, kind of the mission of this course is to help you reflect upon, process, analyze, and think critically about your internship experience. So throughout our next 8 weeks, I'm going to be providing you some resources to help you do that. And this is one of the resources that we're going to provide you for week number 1. So when we say the intellectual dimensions of your internship, this is the cognition or the thinking aspect of your internship. So how you think about the experience. You see there in the upper left quadrant there, I guess you could call it, where you want to be analyzing the projects you're being given or the tasks or functions that you're being asked to perform. You want to make meaning out of the content of your internship. You want to be able to demonstrate the relevance of what you're doing and how that relates to your future career path. And that sort of touches on the connections aspect. So making connections between your academic coursework at SNHU and the actual professional functions of your internship experience. So you can look at some of your graphic design courses or visual arts courses that you've taken, and are there any tools or concepts or styles or processes that you have learned in those courses that you can actually test out in this internship, so that you can see what we call that theory to practice connection that I'll introduce you to in a week or two. The upper right there, becoming an active participant in your learning, is really important in an internship. Next week, in week number 2, I'll be doing a really quick questions video. So what are some questions that you might want to be considering in your internship? Critical thinking questions. How, why, what questions. So we're going to get that to you probably next week. But that green section on the upper right there is really the intellectual curiosity piece of your internship. So having that innovative mindset, being curious about your field of study, showing passion for your field of study is so important in an internship. And then at the bottom right-hand corner there, you see a deepening self-awareness. So if you're like me, when I did my internship many years ago, self-development was such a big outcome of my experience. So developing not just skills and knowledge, but character strengths. And you see there we have listed values, and how are you able to provide evidence that learning's taken place. So again, this is the intellectual dimension, and then we'll shift gears now to the human dimension, which I like to think of as the feeling aspect of your internship. So kind of the emotional aspect of your internship. And anytime we're dealing with emotions, we're really dealing with relationships that we have with other people in our lives. And you can see here kind of this graphic that I put together is talking about relationships. So even though your experience is virtual, I believe 100% virtual, if I'm understanding it right, you're still going to need to communicate with your supervisor, and maybe there's some colleagues at the Franco-American Center that you also will need to communicate with regularly. And perhaps some clients. Maybe there's some clients that you're working with there. And anytime we work with other people, there can be conflicts and challenges that come about. And I would challenge you throughout this course, throughout your internship, to challenge yourself. So make sure that you don't get too comfortable with this experience. And that might sound a little silly, but the reality is that when we're uncomfortable, that's when true growth can happen. And when I say uncomfortable, I'm not meaning, of course, anything that is going to harm you in any way or anyone else, but really kind of maybe you have a project that you're going to be working on, a graphic design project that is something entirely new to you, and maybe you're using a different program than you have before, and that is going to pose maybe a challenge for you. We want that. We want to make sure that by the end of this course and by the end of your internship experience that you have transformed in different ways. And if you go back and watch the announcement video, the internship, the learning goals tutorial, you might want to go back and watch that and just think about what are goals that I can set that are going to be able to demonstrate that I have been transformed by this experience. And then, speaking of transformation, we're talking about change and impact on the lives of others. I think I might have mentioned this to you in my reply to your discussion one post, but one thing I really like about graphic design is it allows you to really become innovative and to communicate visually. So you're usually using visual aids to communicate a message. And so don't ever underestimate that isn't having a direct change or impact on others' lives. When I see something like a billboard or a website that really wows me, that's an emotion that I'm having. And then finally, they're understanding and appreciating the stakeholders who have invested time and interest in your success as an intern. So that's going to be your site supervisor, John. That's going to be myself as the instructor for this experiential learning course. I certainly want to make sure that learning, development, growth, change, and transformation are happening for you. So I hope this is helpful to you. I want to say to you, I'm really excited to learn more about your experiences at the Franco-American Center. I did a little bit of research on it, and it sounds like a really interesting place. I should tell you, before the pandemic, I was a volunteer with the Smithsonian for a few years. So I really love those types of cultural organizations and such. And it seems like the center it really fits into that nicely. So thank you for listening. I really do appreciate your time and hope you have a great night.